Hello everybody and welcome back to LRN as we react to the Monza Grand Prix. Loads going on there, loads to pick apart. But first of all, I think it was an enjoyable race. I think the midfield fight was enjoyable. I think, as we've discussed before, Verstappen way out in front. He's going to win the title. There's nothing really to discuss there. He won the race at a canter. There was nothing really anyone could have done about it. And good race from Red Bull, good race from Verstappen, but he didn't really have to work for it. There's so much pace in that Red Bull that there's no need for them to come up with any amazing strategy. Whatever they do, they've got the pace in the car. Assuming they don't have reliability issues or anything happen, they're going to win the race. So fair play to Verstappen, but did he have to do any wonderful driving? Did he have to do any mad overtakes? Did Red Bull strategy team have to do anything amazing? No, they just have mad pace in the car. The car that Adrian Newey has designed this year has proven to be absolutely amazing. After the first couple of races, they've absolutely dominated. And fair play to Red Bull and for producing a car that can do what it's doing at the moment. But it doesn't exactly lend itself to excitement when it comes to who's going to win the race. We, of course, had a glimpse of hopeful excitement with the safety car at the end. I was hoping that would bring out, obviously the safety car would come in prior to the end of the race and we'd see some cars behind Verstappen on fresh tyres, just give him a run for his money in the last couple of laps. But it wasn't to be. We came over the line behind the safety car. Bit of a boring end to the race, but there was certainly lots to pick apart during what was, I think, quite an interesting race happening behind Verstappen. So first of all, let me start off with my driver of the day, and someone I think has now earned a place on the F1 grid, and that is Nyck de Vries. I think he had an absolutely fantastic race at Monza. I think, considering that the day before he was called in, he was driving a different car, obviously having a go in the Aston Martin. He's then gone into the Williams at the last minute because of Albon and his called. He had to have surgery, so he's covered for Albon at the last minute. No experience in the car, obviously not driven a race in Formula One before, and he's come in and he has outperformed Nicolas Latifi. Obviously, you could see him slowly building up to Latifi's performance in qualifying. He was right there or thereabouts with Latifi. And then in the race, he's just absolutely smashed it. He couldn't have done any more. He's done an Albon-esque job. I don't think he's done more than what maybe Albon would have done in the same situation. But he's certainly proven that he is an F1 driver in waiting. He has absolutely shown that. He's shown, in my opinion, that he is a higher level of driver than Latifi. There's a reason that he is a former Formula E world champion as well, and he's absolutely nailed it today. I think he is now in pole position for any seats that are available to go and get that seat. He is an exciting talent that needs and deserves a place on the F1 grid, so hopefully someone will come and grab him. At least I think he's deserving of it. Let me know in the comments below if you agree. Do you think that Nyck de Vries should be given a full-time drive on the F1 grid? I think he's shown that he's better than a couple of the drivers that are currently in F1 at the moment. He's already been, I know that the penalties, of course, helped massively in terms of his starting position, but his racecraft was good, his pace was good, and again, you've got to remember, this was his first weekend in this car. He hasn't had 15 races to get up to speed with the F1 2022 cars. This is it. This is his weekend, and he's absolutely smashed it. He hasn't fallen back. He hasn't been overtaken by more experienced people really easily. He hasn't looked out of place. He's come in, and I'm massively raising the bar on this because of how last minute it was that he was brought into the team. And I think he's absolutely nailed it. And, you think about how much difference it would make if he was in the car week after week after week. He's only going to improve. So definitely deserving of a seat. Definitely someone that I think long-term Mercedes surely are looking at as a long-term driver in their F1 outfit. As one of the candidates potentially to replace Hamilton. Of course, we've heard rumours of Danny Ricciardo. But for me, Nyck de Vries has to be considered as a long-term candidate for that role. And I really, really hope he gets that opportunity. I think next up for me is the fact that Perez continued to underperform in that Red Bull. We saw how quickly Carlos Sainz came through the pack and got himself obviously up, finishing in fourth. Fantastic driving. But let's please remember, the Ferrari is not as quick as the Red Bull, and Perez should have been flying through the pack and getting on the back of of Leclerc. He should have been there fighting for second place. The pace is in the car, in that Red Bull, to do it, and it's pace in a straight line. That's what I don't understand with Perez. I don't understand where that pace has gone. Surely there are huge just design issues with the car that Perez isn't getting on with to prevent him from having the type of speed that Verstappen has in the car. Now, I completely understand it at more technical circuits, that the design of the car, the way it drives, especially hard downforce tracks, will really benefit Max Verstappen, his understanding of the car, how he drives it. But Monza is about pure speed, pure pace. It is got the highest average speed of any track. It is full throttle, and all he's reliant on is late braking, get the car turned in, and then rely on the speed of the car, the acceleration, the top end speed of the car, the drag of the car through the rest of the circuit, which it shouldn't take that much real skill. You'd expect that anyone on the grid in that Red Bull would be able to have a fantastic race, because the car is just so quick compared to the rest of the field. But he still struggles to do it. I don't know if it's just he doesn't have that ability or that confidence in terms of overtaking late on the brakes. Is it he just doesn't have the feeling of the car underneath him that Verstappen does? But something's not right for him to struggle when we see Carlos Sainz flying through the pack. I just don't think he's performing well enough in that car. I think the Red Bull, if you look back to the days that Albon and Gasly were kicked out of the Red Bull team, it was when the Red Bull was nowhere near the level of standard that we're seeing of the Red Bull of this season, that it wasn't a title-winning car back then. So, and Max Verstappen was massively outperforming what that car should have been doing. And you could argue he still is. He's still, of course, just as good as he was then, if not better. But the fact is that, is Perez performing better than what Albon and Gasly was doing? And I'd argue he isn't. He's in a much better car than what Gasly and Albon had. So yes, he's probably outperforming them in terms of finishes and points and wins that Perez has had. But you have to then equate that to the cars that they had in question and the gap that they've got to Verstappen. And is he any closer to Verstappen than Albon and Perez were? He was temporarily, around the time of Baku, we thought, oh, maybe we've got a fight here. But it very quickly is diminished. It very quickly has moved over to benefit Verstappen. I know that arguably there's a couple of parts that because of the budgeting, they've focused on Verstappen's car. But come on, that car's been the quickest from the beginning of the season, along with Ferrari, but massively gone ahead of Ferrari since. And we haven't seen or felt like the car underneath Perez has matched the ability of what that Red Bull can do. So he needs to, if he wants to keep his place at that team, he needs to pick it up. You look at like what Bottas did for Hamilton for so many years. Yes, he couldn't beat him, but he was always there, picking up the pieces, picking up the second places, making sure they got the 1-2s, nailing it week after week as the perfect number 2 driver. I don't think Perez is doing that. I don't think Perez is achieving that. I don't think Perez is doing enough. And I think that if you looked at drivers like Leclerc, Sainz, Hamilton, Bottas, whoever, if you put them in that second seat of Red Bull, would they be doing a better job? Would they be getting more of those 1-2s than what we're seeing in Red Bull at the moment? And I think you'd have to argue you would. And I think that puts huge pressure. We know how ruthless Red Bull are. That has to be putting huge pressure on Perez at Red Bull for that position. It could be one of the reasons that Red Bull are reluctant to see Pierre Gasly leave. They've talked about how Gasly is a driver on loan at AlphaTauri from Red Bull. And in that case, is Gasly then just the candidate to replace Perez if they decide to make that switch? Maybe. Do I think Gasly would do a better job than Perez? Maybe not. We've seen that he struggled in the car before, but it's certainly worth a punt. I can't see any reason why he wouldn't. I'm not for Perez losing his seat, but something's got to give, right? Perez either needs to step it up, or I think in the summer, if not this season, then definitely the following season, if it doesn't improve, he's under huge pressure. As I say, we've seen how ruthless Red Bull have been in the past. He's got to be walking a fine line now, unless he starts to pick up those results and bring home those real quality second place finishes you'd expect from a car that is so much quicker than the rest of the field. And I know he started way back, but it shouldn't matter. We saw Verstappen just today fly through from 7th place and won at a canter. We saw Sainz in a slower car fly through from the 18th position to finish 4th in the end quite easily. Where's Perez in all this? I don't think, I know he had issues with his brakes. I don't think that really cost him any time. I don't think that he can use that as an excuse. That just seemed to go away within a couple of laps. But overall, you look at his performance today, you look at his performance in previous races, he isn't delivering consistently enough those top second driver performances that you'd expect from what is clearly a championship winning car. So he needs to improve, and we'll see how that gets on over the next few races. Next up is actually Ferrari having a really strong weekend. I don't think they could have done any more than what they did today, and it's not often we've been able to say that this season. And fair play to them for having a good race. The pit stops were quick. We saw a 2.3 second stop, and it was good. It was just good from Ferrari. You know, the strategy was on point. I don't think they could have done anything to beat Verstappen. Verstappen was just too quick. So they tried, you know, they went onto the softs. They were hoping, of course, for those opportunities that the soft would be quick enough to get Leclerc back up at Verstappen. I think Verstappen had the pace. He could have pitted and probably got past him again if he really needed to. So nothing they could have done. I think Sainz obviously showing the pace of the car. Sainz had a brilliant drive today, and I think behind Nyck de Vries, just because of obviously what we've gone through already, I think Sainz would have been my second pick for driver of the day. I think he absolutely smashed it. Couldn't have done any more. Leclerc didn't do anything wrong, but obviously didn't have loads of overtakes to do or anything. So I just think Sainz gets that second place in terms of driver of the day because of all the overtakes he made, how quickly he did them, how quickly he got through the pack. Obviously Hamilton got there in the end coming through, but it took him a bit more time. I just think Sainz was on it straight away. So really good drive from him. Really, really good finish for them in the race to come home second and fourth. Fantastic result. So really well done, Ferrari. Hopefully it's a sign of things to come. And as I say, I think they're in a battle with Mercedes. I don't think they're in a battle with Red Bull. I think that's long gone. I think all they need to do now is secure second place, and races like today will help them do that. So good job for them. Hopefully they can start building, gaining confidence, make some changes that are going to really help them develop as an outfit, develop as a team, and become the world-class behind-the-scenes team that they need to be, so that when they have the fastest car, they can actually make the most of it, which we know they haven't done this year. So hopefully it continues. Hopefully it's sign of things to come. We'll see a good fight maybe between Ferrari and Mercedes. So of course it's very track dependent for Mercedes at the moment. Higher downforce the track, seemingly the better. So let's keep an eye on that. But of course last race we had a fantastic, opportunity that Mercedes could have potentially even won it. So we want to see more of that this year. Let's see Ferrari versus Mercedes. I don't want to see Red Bull way out in front, Ferrari just behind, and then Mercedes behind them, and it being 2-2-2. We don't want that. We want good, solid racing. Obviously, we're getting that in the midfield, but good day for Ferrari today. As I say, the key thing is they couldn't have done any more. Obviously, the Tifosi are out there. They want to see a Ferrari win, but they couldn't have done it. That's just all the pace that Ferrari had today. So fair play to them. Really, really good performance. And I look forward to more of that in the rest of the season. And the last thing I'm going to go through today, and the big question for me is, are Mercedes power units finally facing issues? We've obviously had 2 DNFs for Aston Martin. So really, really bad day at the office for Aston Martin, and Ricciardo dropping out with power related issues as well. So have we suddenly had we've had an influx of Mercedes power unit issues? Obviously, thankfully, not impacting the Mercedes team. Between Hamilton and Russell, so luckily for them, not impacting them directly, but Mercedes power unit issues down the grid. So something for Mercedes to be aware of for their cars in the next few races. Are they going to start seeing more issues coming in? Obviously Hamilton's just taken a grid penalty for excess parts on his car, as did lots of other people. Maybe that will save him. Maybe he's done that just in time to avoid the car breaking down. But certainly something to be aware of, because that car and that engine has been so bulletproof this season. To have 3 suddenly drop out in one race is really interesting. So let's see how it plays out over the rest of the year. Will we start to see some more power unit related reliability issues, not just Mercedes but across the grid over the final few races of the season? Will we have more penalty impacted races? I don't like the penalty system where we've had so much out of place, but I have to admit, it did add to some of the excitement today. Certainly, I think that obviously we could have done with Verstappen being way at the back, but that you can't ask for those things. So it is what it is. He deserved to win. But certainly, I think it adds to the excitement. We still ended up with the fastest cars at the front pretty much. So, it didn't change too much in terms of the result of the race necessarily. But it certainly added some excitement as they were coming through the midfield pack. The midfield fight continues to be really good. Obviously, McLaren just about getting one up on Alpine today, despite the fact that they kind of did everything they could to throw that away. And some just decent races up and down the grid. So good watch today. Didn't finish with much excitement, of course, ending under the safety car, but some interesting takeaways. So let me know what you thought in the comments below. Anything that you took away from the race that that I haven't brought up, and what do you think about the things I've said? Do you agree that Nyck de Vries is the driver of the day? Do you think Carlos Sainz would be deserving of the driver of the day, or who would your choice be? Do you think Mercedes are going to face issues with their power unit towards the end of the season? And do you think that Ferrari are now more looking over their shoulder than potentially looking forward, and agreeing with me on that front? Because personally, I don't think there's any question that Red Bull have got both championships nailed down. So it is all about Ferrari for second. But if you disagree with that, please let me know in the comments below. This is all about F1 fan opinion. So I want to know all of your thoughts in the comments below. If you are new around here, make sure to subscribe on the bottom right hand corner. And I look forward to catching with you all again soon when the next few videos come up. Otherwise, guys, just going to thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a great day.